Hello and welcome to Liberty Nation TV with your host, Jeff Charles. The political landscape in America has taken on quite a bizarre form over the past few years. Democrats are in a precarious position for the upcoming congressional elections, while the GOP seems to be coalescing around former President Donald Trump and other prominent leaders. What does this portend for the future? I have with me Liberty Nation's senior political correspondent with his crystal ball, Tim Donner, to discuss the issue. Welcome to the program, Tim.
Always a pleasure, Jeff.
All right, so you recently wrote an article for LibertyNation.com, and I thought you did a really good job of detailing the differences between Trump and Biden when it comes to the level of influence that each of these men have in their parties. Can you kind of give us the rundown or give us an idea of how you're seeing this whole thing?
Well, if you were tallying it on a scoreboard, Jeff, it would be, for the midterms, Trump about 100 and Biden 2. That's the number of endorsements that the two men have delivered. Trump has endorsed almost everybody in every race. Biden almost none. And there's a good reason for it. He's toxic. He's not someone that any Democrat wants to be seen with. And even in the two endorsements that he issued, Jeff, one of them was for a moderate, so-called moderate traditional candidate in Oregon, where the local official said, thanks, but no thanks. We don't want the endorsement. We like the other guy. So everybody must have Trump's endorsement in the Republican Party as far as each of these candidates are concerned. And nobody wants to be near Biden on the Democratic side. They don't want to be infected by the stench of failure surrounding this president.
Yeah, I think stench might be the best word to describe it here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you just explained what happened in Oregon. And plus, you had Beto O'Rourke, who was kind of distancing himself. Stacey Abrams ducked him in Georgia when he came to speak. But
she had another engagement.
Oh, yeah, of course she did.
Yeah. She had someplace else she had to be.
Yeah, and it came up right after she found out that he was coming, I'm sure.
And after he hit about 39% in the latest Associated Press. Approval ratings. Yeah, so his approval ratings are in the tank. But I mean, has this brand really become that toxic, Tim? I mean, Trump's was always pretty low too. I mean, why are people running from Biden like this? Is it really that bad? Well, I think the problem that Biden has that's unlike most other presidents having political problems is that there really isn't much hope that it's going to get better because of his cognitive condition. When Jimmy Carter was kicking away his presidency, proving that he was in over his head, he was a young, energetic, vital person who you felt at some point could perhaps turn it around. But this guy, I mean, he looks like he just isn't in control. I think there's no leadership. There's no sense of dynamism from this presidency. I think of that pathetic scene of when Barack Obama visited the White House recently, and Obama just took over the room. And Biden was wandering around aimlessly. Nobody wanted to talk to him or have anything to do with him. And these were his own people in the Democratic Party. So he's fast becoming sort of a footnote in history as simply the guy who took down Trump. The problem was they didn't think about what it would be like when he had to actually serve as president.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's this sense that this is about as good as it's going to get. I mean, when he came into office, people were, his approval ratings were high. I mean, but by the time Afghanistan rolled down, it sunk down to where it is now and even lower, and it's not coming back up. I almost feel bad for the guy, but I mean, I could kind of see what's going on here. I mean, and I remember catching that with Obama. I was embarrassed for Biden. Like, that's how bad it was.
Yeah, well, I was embarrassed too. He's the president of the United States, and he can't even get the attention of Barack Obama. He taps him on the shoulder a couple of times, says Barack, and Obama just ignores him like he's the help. Yeah, I mean, it's sad for any president
to be seen as that weak.
You know, it is. And I was like looking at Obama, like, come on, you could have given the guy a fist bump or something. I mean, come on.
I know. And he was working the room like he was running for president for a third term, wasn't he? Obama. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we're going to touch on that in a second. But before we go there, I want to pivot back to Trump. Now, I think he's been enjoying his kingmaker status. I think he loves it as far as, picking people. Now, how would you rate his performance, though, as a kingmaker so far? I know it's not over yet. I know we still got Georgia coming up. But so far, how would you rate his performance as far as selecting the right people?
Well, it's a real mixed bag in the sense that there's an old Trump approach and a new Trump approach. The old Trump approach we can see in Georgia, where for the sake of revenge, it seems, he's opposing the sitting Republican Governor Brian Kemp, who he's still angry about from 2020 because he lost Georgia, then he lost the 2 Senate seats. He blames Kemp, so he's supporting David Perdue, a veteran politician, to challenge him in the Republican primary. And it's not going well because Kemp is leading by about 20 points, and he's a popular governor, no matter what Trump thinks. On the other hand, the new Trump went into Ohio and Pennsylvania and endorsed J.D. Vance and Dr. Mehmet Oz, both of whom were critical of Trump in the past, but he got past it and endorsed those guys because he believes they have a chance to win. So that's a big difference from the Trump of the past, who demanded fealty to him. But what's interesting, too, is that no less than Mike Pence, Trump's vice president, and Ted Cruz supported the other primary candidates in both Ohio and Pennsylvania. So it seems like they're testing the waters for whether, if a Trump candidate doesn't do well, it might speak well for Cruz or Pence as alternative candidates for 2024.
Okay, now that's very interesting. I didn't think about that as far as Pence and Cruz go. I mean, a lot of people, I know when he and Trump endorsed Oz, his base was not happy with him about that. And
it was the first time, Jeff, that I saw some of Trump's people boo at a Trump rally with Dr. Oz. Yes, but Cruz and Pence have endorsed David McCormick, who's running against Oz. And in Ohio, they've endorsed Josh Mandel, who ran against J.D. Vance. So right now, it looks like with Oz holding a slim lead, he might hold on. And that'll make Trump look good because he picked the right people in the critical states of Ohio and Pennsylvania.
I think so too, but I also think that even if it doesn't go his way in Pennsylvania and Ohio, or even in Georgia, I think he's done enough to where he's established himself. Like he can take a hit and get something wrong at this point because he's already established himself as a kingmaker. I mean, we still have Herschel Walker and Kemp and all that, so I mean it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I did want to kind of go back to the Democrats. I mean, because when you look at the Republican Party, if I were to ask the average Republican, who's the leader of the Republican Party or who are the leaders? Of course, they'll be able to tell me off the top of their head. Trump, maybe DeSantis, maybe people like Cruz, and maybe some might even say Pence or some people in the House. But when it comes to Democrats, I don't know how you answer that question because, like you alluded to earlier, it doesn't seem that Biden has established himself in that spot, even though he's the president. Would you say that there is anybody on that side who could be identified as a leader of the party who's helping to steer the way it goes?
Well, the plan was that was going to be Kamala Harris, but that hasn't worked out because she's strikingly unpopular. So they can't put her forward because she has just been totally discredited personally, politically. She's been really a failure as vice president. Joe Biden's going to be 82. He's losing it cognitively. And so he can't be the leader of the party, even though he's president. They don't want him to be the face of the party any more than the Democrats wanted Jimmy Carter to be the face of the party as they headed for the 1980 election, which was a disaster when Reagan won. So it can't be Biden, it can't be Harris. Nancy Pelosi's going to be out in the House, and she's in her 80s. Chuck Schumer is going to be a minority leader. He's not going to be a party leader, doesn't have the capacity. So the answer is, I don't know, Jeff, except that I do believe come 2024, that the emergent candidate is going to be Gavin Newsom of California, because he's the most attractive Democrat out there. He's young, he's articulate, he's dynamic. He very effectively fought off a recall effort. He can play the victim, the martyr of the Trump movement. And he's a clean-looking guy. Even though he's from the left coast, from the most liberal state in the country, he looks right now like the only person I can honestly name that could stand to step up and lead the party, especially because he's from California and he's outside that Washington Beltway, where anybody who might want to challenge someone from within the Beltway to challenge this president would get in a heap of trouble. But Gavin Newsom is independent. So coming from California seems to me stands a better chance of breaking through and making himself the front runner for 2024. You heard it here first.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about that before. And I mean, Andrew Cuomo already took himself out of contention. So I think you're right. I think the only hope is probably somebody like Gavin Newsom, definitely. But we'll be keeping an eye on it. Maybe somebody will come out of the woodwork. We remember what happened with Obama, but until then, we'll be keeping an eye on it, and we will keep you updated here at Liberty Nation. Thanks for joining the program, Tim.
It's been fun, Jeff. Thanks.
And remember, this show is proudly sponsored by LibertyNation.com, where you can access podcasts, breaking news and analysis, and a range of biting and brilliant shows to whet your appetite for freedom and your fondness for the great American Constitution. Just go to LibertyNation.com on your browser, or hit Rumble, YouTube, or check out our Liberty Nation News Roku channel. I'm Jeff Charles. Thanks for watching. This program is a production of LibertyNation.com, where truth is making a comeback.
We're doing it for real, really real. Liberty Nation.
And Jeff Charles, contributor for LibertyNation.com.
I think we're starting to make an impact. Liberty style, fight for freedom.
Maybe tracking polls sponsored by Liberty Nation for Thursday.
Mentioned by Dan Bongino, Rasmussen, Jordan Peterson, and
I
others.
can do it again if you want me to.
Cited in Mark Levin's American Marxism.
I think we're starting to make a really big impact. Get noticed. We're doing it. Rock on. I'm gone.